God, this episode's depressing. Episode 23. We're almost there to finale, and episode 23 is Revolution. Now, there's a reason why it's called Revolution, and it'll be at the very end. This episode is, of course, like I said in the first few seconds, it is just a bit depressing, at least to me. It's not too depressing like in some darker stuff, but in all honesty, it's dark. Not that dark. It's very sad, even for the series. But I guess it's a good build-up. It's not that emotionally weighing unless you're invested with the series, then it kind of is. It depends on how you like the love plot, regardless. And to be honest, for me, I like the love plot. It does have its ups and downs, but it's still handled, quote-unquote, kind of well. But for this part, it's a very good, like, I don't think it's a resolution, but like it's pretty good. But it kind of ends with a very sad note. Honestly, it's a bit of a cliche, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Either way, let's begin. Chloe, we left off. She was the mayor from the previous episode. At the very end of that episode, and the reason why she's mayor, her father, the actual mayor, stepped down on office privately, I should say, and went to go for his directing career, and that is about it. That's all you need to know. And at this point, she again restates that she outlawed Ladybug, Captain War, and Monarch. And now she's in power. Of course, still being controlled by Lila, so she's technically a puppet, but she thinks she has the power. Adrian and of course Marinette looked into basically the social media and also the news, of course, to see how the other people think about Chloe. Some of them say that she is just a child and they would not never trust a child to be a leader, and others are afraid of what Chloe could do since she has this power and basically supports her. Nobody wants to do anything. Ladybug, Cat Noir, and of course by extension in their secret life, of course, Marinette and Adrian, they are just letting wait for other people to do the thing because they had to wait for the adults to do something. But unfortunately, throughout this whole episode, the adults don't do anything because what can Chloe do? Well, first off, she has robot guards, which the robots are giant rectangular robots with no limbs, just a pew-pew laser and such and so forth, possibly. I don't know what you call those things. Turrets, maybe? Like non-lethal. But I'm getting sidetracked. So this whole time, basically, the whole thing is not really about Chloe, but it kind of is, with Chloe's side, with the villains like Lila and Monarch. But the main focus is basically Adrian trying to tell Marinette that he is going to London. He never said to Marinette that he's going to London because of his father. And this is the third episode, so hopefully she can do something here. So, Sarugi and Gabriel are here to talk with Chloe about the propositions and stuff like that. Well, not exactly propositions, it's just that they're here to praise Chloe for her work. And of course, Chloe kind of agrees, pride and such and so forth. But of course, throughout all this, Lila is recording the technology that they have, including the computers. She thinks that the computer, which is shared by the Aggress, because he has two, and one is with them, the other was Chloe. It's kind of a hodgepodge, honestly, but it's the same computer that Chloe has. But since it's kind of the same technology, she's wanting their computer because it's more high-tech and possibly, of course, they're going to keep the high-quality machinery for themselves, right? That's kind of the very complicated plan. There's not really much, it's not really explained all that much. I'm just assuming at this point. Chloe also stated before that she outlawed Monarch, right? And she also outlawed any nodes of superpowers, because nobody should have them, because everybody should be equal and everybody has the right to say what they want, basically. But Monarch came here, right? And don't know what Chloe, he's not going to do anything to Chloe, just as a proposition. But Chloe was prepared, but unfortunately, with the plan that Monarch has, he deactivated the robots, but Chloe does not know because they're facing his side, not her side. So with the proposition, Monarch, with basically his proposition, is basically to give her the powers that she wants without turning herself into a villain. So basically, it's about the same, but she's going to try to make Chloe willingly get akumatized, but no one would know because it looks like that she just was normal looking. Basically, the villain name is Queen Mare, a little redundant, I know. All she has is just a royal golden robe over her with the sash, of course, and the Akuma's on the sash. Basically, it's just like a robe with very long black boots. It looks very nice on Chloe, by the way, but I'm gonna sidetrack. That's kind of about it. It's not really that much to talk about. So Hawkmoth just gave her these powers, and it's like, good. Just walks back. Nobody needs to know. This is technically what she looks like, at least her sash. Just looks like the same Chloe, basically. There's literally no difference. If you want to know what type of power that she has, the powers that she has is usually gone to the robots. Let's see, the bee, the ox, the turtle, the rooster, and there was one more, but I forgot. But I don't think it matters. No, the horse. She got the horse too. So that's 5 powers that Hawkmoth Monarch gave to her. Into the school, Chloe is still getting interviewed to see how well she is by being mayor. Her classmates, her old classmates by the way, are protesting. Chloe, trying her best, tries to be calm about the situation. She almost give out her real colors, but to be honest, everybody knows who Chloe is, right? So she's trying to hide something that everybody kind of knows. So she's trying to keep a public image, trying to be nice. Although this is from Lila, of course, not from Chloe herself. But let's just say after this scene right here, Chloe tries to redo the education system. Basically making the education system all about her and how life evolved into Chloe. That's about it. That's all I'm going to say about that. We have the giant Chloe statue. It's like above one of the monuments in Paris. Everybody kind of says it's kind of ugly. To be honest, the model looked good on this one. Although, actually no, for gold statue is actually pretty much well done for the rendering. So like, it's just in rendering for the animations, I get pretty good. Of course, at this point, you guys might know already. Or possibly not. Adrian has not told Marinette that he was going to London throughout the past 3 episodes. This is the 3rd episode. And he never told his friends yet as well. Adrian has to be the one. And every time Adrian tries to tell Marinette, something wrong happens. Either that Marinette interrupts him, or it is Chloe that interrupts him. In this episode specifically. The other few episodes were basically Marinette, but majority of the points in this episode was mostly Chloe or then Marinette. But maybe they're equal. I didn't keep track, but it was either Chloe mostly or Marinette and Chloe equally that interrupts Adrian every single time. Adrian says like, it's not the right time. He keeps saying that, but just you wait, it bites him in the end, honestly. Some time passed. And I'm not gonna spoil you like what happened in the middle. Chloe got to almost everybody. Whoever breaks the rule of Chloe, or basically she thinks that she hates or doesn't like, they go to detention. I'll show you what detention looks like. But Adrian tries to come over here and then tries to convince... Well, Adrian came here, but he doesn't see Marinette or the rest of her family. Everybody in the city is kind of disappeared. Oh, well, everybody that we know who is either semi-important or important disappeared. All the background people are somewhere else. Don't worry, they're safe. But main characters specifically, yeah, they're kind of gone. Thanks to Chloe's powers, which are from the robot, basically. I know I'm fast forwarding here, but there's a lot to talk about at the very end. This is basically kind of a very quick thing. Now Chloe is trying to give Adrian a proposition that he could rule with Chloe as vice mayor or something like that. But of course Adrian says no. Then Chloe decides to blackmail Adrian. Chloe knows, and I bet you it's thanks to either Gabriel or Lila, that Adrian is going to London. Which, to be honest, it might have been from Gabriel, because Chloe has heard this conversation with Gabriel and her father, the mayor, in the last episode. Adrian was surprised, but Chloe doesn't really explain how she knows to Adrian. All she says that, if you don't, I will tell Marinette about this, but this could be our little secret if you work with me. Adrian says no. Then Chloe sends him to detention. I know I technically skipped forward from this scene, but this is what detention looks like. The robots who are inside this are herding everybody who is in detention in a circle, in a very big loop. It looks like a maze, but also it's not. Just repeating the phrases that Chloe's your leader, you are ridiculous. That's about it. And everybody kind of got tired because they cannot really walk anymore, but so on and so forth. Adrian and Marinette, with Marinette is with the help of Alia. Sorry about that. They just make a distraction for the robots. The robots cannot see. They transform. They escape. With Cat Noir basically making a hole for anybody passing to basically go through the hole and escape. While for other people, they just kind of have to keep walking around until they get to the hole or find an escape hatch, basically. Alright, we are here at the main event. Now, I'm going to talk about this part of the episode a bit, but not exactly this part where Chloe makes her speech. Chloe basically says that she is basically now the new mayor and wants everybody to say their piece. Unfortunately, she does not really want that. She's just basically making sure that everybody knows that she is the top dog. Ladybug and Cat Noir. Now I did skip a few scenes here. Before they entered, they activated both Lucky Charm and Cataclysm. Then they went up there, give everybody a pep talk about give everybody a pep talk, then ask the question, do you want to stay with this dictator or do you want a democratic vote or some democracy? Everybody voted for democracy, because even if democracy is iffy at some points for some people, I think we can all agree that we don't want Chloe to be a dictator, because we know how she acts, we know what she can do with all that power, all selfish things, and just making her a lot of praise. Also, she's a teenager, a spoiled brat, all that stuff, yada yada yada. You get the gist. But unfortunately, something bad happens, of course. Both Ladybug and Cat Noir are trapped. Basically now in super detention. I don't know if she said that, but I call it super detention because the robots didn't really teleport them back. They're just kind of trapped in these shelters. You know, the power from the turtle. Also, the power of the turtle is also combined with the power of the ox, so they cannot break the shields, theoretically. At this point in time, they are running out of time. I know I said time twice, but you know. They're just running out of time right now, everybody knows. And in between all this, they are also de-transforming pretty slowly. But, and here's the thing, with enough willpower and determination, they can actually slow down their de-transformation. Okay, I can see that. It would make sense because they have this power already, right? They would have enough training with their powers and would be able to control this. They have done this multiple times. And the only times where they de-transform pretty fast is when they're actually when they are willing to de-transform. If they're not willing to de-transform, they do de-transform slow, but it was actually in an alarming rate. Now they can actually slow it down. That is good, and it is technically pretty consistent, all things considered. Yes, it is a bit of a shoe-in, but this is like very consistent to what the show does at some points, and very consistent on how the de-transformation actually works. If they don't want to de-transform, and when they do want to de-transform. Usually when they want to de-transform is when they finish the mission, and in private, so makes sense, right? So I give this a pass. And we continue on with Ladybug giving everybody a pep talk to basically now say this, that we all waited for somebody to step up. Unfortunately, no, and of course, for us, the audience, we know that nobody wanted to step up because of the alarming power that this little brat has, right? But Marinette Ladybug made a very good point. We cannot just wait for anybody to step up. We have to step up and hope somebody else follows. And guess what? They all stepped up. Basically, at almost the very end, when everybody changed their minds, it's basically these main people, and of course the rest of the resistance, to basically step up and then convince the whole crowd behind them. Ladybug, Cat Noir are still fighting their detransformation, but then, starting with Kim, of course, everybody starts rallying against Chloe, all at the same time, and basically fight the robots. And while some are captured, others actually take control of the robots by physically and basically trap the robots inside Detention as well. Now, as you can see, Gabriel and Usagi, God, I just said her name too. God damn, I forgot. Well, Kankame's mother, it's very much more memorable, much easier to remember. Basically, leave. Also, Chloe's mom also was there, but she left too on the opposite direction. The reason why they're here is because, they don't want to get caught in this whole thing. And since it's a big crowd, they can easily just get away. Lila is also here too, but she's waiting for her time, but she sees these two already leaving. We have a bit more scenes of the resistance. Here's a screenshot of some people actually taking control. And then we technically have, possibly maybe, the most controversial take that I think the show has done. So, first off, before we get to that, the clothes. The clothes are not fully detailed. So the thing is, if you detransform to a certain point and it does reveal your true clothes, the clothes do not gain any detail until the detransformation is actually resolved. Meaning that the body part that you have clothes on, that is the first layer of course, is just that color. Because for Marinette, it's black. For Cat Noir, it's white. But now we talk possibly maybe the controversial thing about this. Oh yeah, just a little more detail. You can see the green lines here. It's just a color, it just means it's a grid and it's a color palette, not their true clothes. So with enough determination, resolve, and willpower, and what I mean by resolve as seeing that everybody is actually fighting for them to save them. I have two screenshots of this. With enough determination, willpower, and resolve, they basically not only force the detransformation to stop, they also force to retransform back into their original state. Except for Ladybug, of course, it's still the Guardian state. And they can reset the timer. And of course in this scene, Gabriel Bress is just very confused on how they are doing this. Asks Nuru. Nuru says, well, you don't detransform either when you use your powers. And Gabriel Bress says, well, that's because I'm an adult. And Nuru says, well, I guess they grew up. And Gabriel's like, shit. And after they finally corner Chloe, the teacher basically rips the slash and has the Megakuma out. And when they're free, Cat Noir says it is Cataclysm time. And he starts cataclysming all over the place. Now I know I cut most of that, but yes, that's right. Every time remember, every time he used Cataclysm, it's a one-time use. But with this, he can just spam it. So every time he finishes up a Cataclysm, he says Cataclysm again, and then it resets. And then he can just do it again after that. Yes, he can spam. I don't know why, but he can spam. Oh boy. Of course, we have Ladybug basically capturing the Megakuma. And as a duty of a hero, he has to give Chloe a charm, right? But the mayor says that he'll take care of it. finally. And so the mayor took Chloe home and will decide her punishment. Then Lila finally comes out from her hiding place with nobody looking, steals Gabriel's laptop. And then the day is saved with fireworks and all. And with now everybody trying to vote for mayor, who's gonna be the new mayor? All the kids, and I guess the principal too, all agree that the teacher should be mayor. Now the teacher is surprised about this news, and I think everybody forgot that she was pregnant. But they all basically unanimously agree that she would be a great mayor, and everybody would basically help out with her election advertisement, I guess. But of course, Marinette says that she needs to go somewhere first, and Adrian too. Before we continue on with this scene, I'm gonna say this right now. This scene right here really almost pisses me off because of how sudden it is, how shoo-in it is. But at the same time, I will have to basically agree that this does make sense. Now hear me out. This makes sense to a point. I do not agree that they should have done this already. They should have done this possibly when they're actual adults, or an episode where they're nearing adulthood, like early adulthood. But this is okay, because here's the thing. First off, it could be that the Miraculous basically decided that it's finally time, with their new resolve, that they're technically now adults, young adults, according to Noru, and according to Gabriel Gress. However, what I think happens here is that not only with that, but I'm getting the feeling that age is not the only thing. Age is a privilege. With younger people, they have to earn it, right? And Marinette and Adrian, basically they had enough experience as superheroes. They used their powers at this point in time responsibly. With great power comes great responsibility and all that. And they did a pretty good job. They keep the people safe. They always save Paris. They never use their powers for bad. And of course, we can already assume that they have trained with these powers almost every single day, or at least very frequently. With Ladybug, it makes sense. With Cat Noir, it's a whole different story, honestly. But in a way, in a way, if you take all that into consideration, their journey through the whole series, all 5 seasons, it makes sense that since they don't de-transform anymore at this point, well, they can force the de-transformation to cancel. They can cancel the de-transformation and then re-transform, basically filling back the spaces that were gone. They can do that, and I think it shows their maturity throughout the whole series, basically, and it makes sense. However, this is again the most shoe-in way that they can do, and according to Gabriel Gress, it makes sense that this is basically a very shoe-in thing. That one thing, these two, canonically speaking, these are like pretty much young teenagers or middle schoolers, basically. So technically, much younger teenagers. They are technically middle schoolers, but in the English version, they're high schoolers. This makes sense in the English dub. They're technically late high schoolers getting ready to go to college because, you know, their careers, they're gonna go to do their courses on their careers in next year. But in the original dub, they're technically still, in a way, in context, middle schoolers. This does not make sense in that term, but this age thing and or maturity thing makes sense in a way in the English dub. I don't know about the other dubs, but I'm just saying this in English, right? But I'm just gonna say this also, that technically speaking, it might not be physically, but it could just be their maturity in a mental state, basically. But that's just me. You can speculate this all you want. Even I don't know why this is a thing. But I will say this is like a very much shoo-in. I do wish that we saw this towards the season finale, because that would actually solidify their growth as people and heroes. And of course, that would make sense, because we all speculate that season 6, while it is technically very possible that the Disney writing team is going to take over the writing for the show, it's also possible that it is going to be a time skip in season 6. Would like to see that in the finale, but you know, it is what it is. It does dock out some points for me. It makes sense in a narrative perspective. It does not make sense in this specific episode, since they have the ability to slow down the transformation, and now they can just cancel it out right now? Doesn't make sense, right? Now, let's get back to that golden plane. In this golden plane, we have Chloe pouting and enraged, while the mother is also mad, but not at the people. She's mad at Chloe. Now, she said here is that that basically the mayor, her dad, told her mom, his wife, to basically look out to Chloe and control her. But of course, I think the wife basically took this pretty much literally. So she's very angry that she has to do this in the first place. She says that you basically disgrace our family name, you had all this power, and you threw it away. You dishonored yourself, you dishonored your family, you also dishonored your cow. I'm just kidding about the cow part. I just want to make that reference, you know. But yeah, basically, Chloe has lost respect to both her parents. And then she storms off to the back side of the plane. She scrolls through her alliance ring. And then she stops at Sabrina. Now I'm gonna leave that in. I forgot I didn't press the right pause button. But yeah, she stops at Sabrina. Her angered rage face turned into one that is very surprisingly sad and somber. And I think what's going on in Chloe's mind here is that she actually realized that she was with the wrong person the whole time, that Sabrina was technically right. Lila didn't help her out in this part of the situation. Basically kind of just left her for dead, honestly. And she actually is a bit sorry. She actually kind of, at this point, maybe realized that how much stuff she gave to Sabrina. Sabrina's always been there as her best friend. But, you know, she took it for granted, and basically at this point, she kind of, I think in her mind, she wants to say that she's sorry to what she did to Sabrina, because she just gone through that the whole time with Lila. But since this is Chloe, this sadness didn't really last that long. So she kept scrolling, and then landed on Marinette. Guess what is going on in her brain right now? She is going to use the blackmail on Adrian and tell the secret to her. Unfortunately, this might be taking place at the same time as what the other thing is happening, but she might just been pondering on this for very long for some reason. I don't know. The timing in the show is kind of weird in between moments. But yeah, she's gonna call. But let's see what Marinette and the others are doing. Adrian went home, running, basically. But Gabriel's there. Adrian here was going to get ready for the end of the school year dance, but Gabriel stops him, telling him to pack his things and going to London. Adrian says, but it's the dance tonight. Gabriel, for basically maybe the first time in since like forever, in this season specifically, he literally went back to his season 1 to 3 self, being very assertive, does not care about his son's feelings. Just his safety. I twisted my tongue there. Sorry about that. Defeated, he has to pack his bags, Flag basically tells him the bright side. Listen, you don't get to de-transform anymore. Your powers have evolved. You can basically do anything now with your superpowers. But Adrian's like, you're right. Or maybe not. I like to believe too. Adrian's pretty much defeated here, right? He went past by Natalie, and yeah, it's very much of a big somber moment here. Natalie basically tried to, at this point, stop Gabriel from doing this to Adrian, right? Sending him to London, making him sad, right? But of course she failed on that battle, and she has to admit defeat. Their last words to Adrian is, don't let anybody control who you love, basically. Don't let anybody control like who you should love and not love, basically. And then we have this card scene right here. Gabriel is just really stern, just like he was every time, but Adrian this time was pretty sad. He tries to convince his dad, but then his father basically says, this is what your mother would want, basically. But Adrian finally, for the first time, basically, maybe for the first time technically, at least in the specific way when the mother was brought up, he actually says that mother would actually like me to be happy. Finally he gets it. Nobody else telling him. Then he tries to open the door, but it's locked. Unfortunately, the bodyguard did actually stop the car, but then he had to keep going because he knows it was kind of useless, you know. I think the bodyguard was hoping that Adrian would be able to open the door, but unfortunately not. It looks like there was a child safety lock on that side, so he cannot escape. Pretty sad. Adrian started to cry, and his only last option right now is to actually tell Marinette the truth. You know, he finally did it at least, but it is a very somber moment at this point. Adrian, crying basically, says that he is going to London. He's sorry that he basically never told her, and he feels very bad about this, and says that she doesn't deserve his love because of what he did to her, not telling her the truth. Not necessarily telling her the truth, he just didn't have the time to say it. I think it may be Marinette's fault at that point. But like, Adrian could have basically interrupted Marinette any time and just say it, but he decided not to because he's just afraid. Makes sense, honestly. I could feel for Adrian for that. But Marinette basically being shocked, and then after the call, her heart's basically kind of broken at that point. Marinette on her knees is basically just crying on this news, then sees the friendship bracelet that Adrian actually made for her. Thankfully that thing's still there, you know? I know it's not very important to basically like make a joke here, but like I'm just saying it because like, this is pretty much a very sad scene. Not a depressing scene because I'm really just invested into the storyline at this point with these two, but I guess for most people it's just like a sad moment, not that much impactful depending on how much influence this little plot line has for you. But after seeing this, she remembers a promise that she made, which I don't remember that she made before, that she is actually not going to lose Adrian again. Which, the more I think about, this is the exact same promise that she made in the New York special. The very first hour-long special that Miraculous has, which is the same special that everybody says is not canon. New York special is canon. Thank God, because I really wanted it to be canon, because that was a very good special, along with Shanghai. But a very good special nonetheless. So it's very good to see that we got a shout out from that. But more important things, we are basically here with her promise. So what she did, she rode her little scooter, not her bike. Remember the scooter that she had? Yeah, she rode that scooter. Finally, we have some recognition that she actually has a vehicle at this point, a scooter. She drove from her place to the airport. That is a long drive. She is that dedicated. And of course, she shouts Adrian's name. Gabriel heard this, but also Adrian and the butler, the bodyguard. After hearing this, the bodyguard basically unbuckles his seatbelt and let Adrian go. Just look at the smile on this guy. This is like I think for me, my count, this is the 5th time that the bodyguard actually helped Adrian ever since possibly season 3. Listen, if your bodyguard is this nice to you, you just make yourself a good deal, honestly. You just make yourself a very good friend. Because, listen, usually bodyguards have to listen to their actual boss, but since Adrian's not really his boss, Gabriel has more priority over that. But there were times that this bodyguard basically disobeys Gabriel at times. If this guy basically, a bodyguard, disobeys a higher authority just to make you feel happy, you just made a very good guy, honestly. This is why I say we should give this man support, because Jesus Christ, this guy is the MVP in almost every episode that he's been in when in terms of helping Adrian. Jesus Christ. Adrian and Marinette basically are on the stairway of the airplane. They run up to each other and we have the thumbnail for the video. Yes, after 4 seasons and 23 freaking episodes. Well, technically, 4 seasons, 22 episodes, and of course, 21 to 22 minutes. We finally have them freaking kissing. And it only took a depressing moment. Jesus Christ. Now this does do the cliche about the, love at an airport, but this is like maybe a step beyond because they're not at the airport, they're at the runway, but it's still the same, technically speaking. And there's a little bit of a more cliche that these two basically show their true love. The right moment to kiss is basically the same onto when they're about to lose each other. Now that's a cliche, but to be honest, it's a really nice gesture. I mean, it's really nice, honestly. I really like this trope. It doesn't matter how sometimes it's been overdone, I just really like it. Yes, it's kind of sappy and all that stuff, but Jesus, I still like this. Especially with these two, their thing has been going on for so long, and they were about to kiss a few episodes earlier, but never did because of Adrian's hesitance. Now finally, with, of course, this is not a happy kiss. They finally did kiss, but it was very much somber. Just look at their facial expressions, honestly. Also, I actually never noticed. Have you actually noticed that her neck, the frail neck part of her dress has skulls? I'm a little surprised on why there's skulls on her. Could this be foreshadowing? I don't know. It's very interesting. Hopefully someone makes a theory about that, honestly. Unfortunately, we have to end it there because Gabriel came here and told this guy to basically separate them. And for some reason, the bodyguard just magically just appeared. I wonder if Gabriel called him to do something about it. Or that the bodyguard saw Gabriel's car, is like, okay, I have to do my job. It's kind of sad, honestly. But yeah, before we get to more about the bodyguard, this whole scene lasts about like 30 seconds. And listen, if the bodyguard and this guy cannot separate these two from kissing and hugging each other, it's either mean that these two are very hench, or their love truly is that strong. And I know the other one's a bit sappy and maybe cringe, maybe, I don't know. I don't think it's cringe, but I think it's just very sappy. But listen, if a very strong buff bodyguard and this security runway enforcer cannot separate these two, you know that either these two kids are super henched or just basically have a very strong bond of love. And to be honest, I cannot really blame them. So we gone back to Adrian. And yeah, at this point, both Adrian and Marinette will be breaking down at this point, basically. And you can see the bodyguard, he has regret on his face. He has regret of actually just separating them, but boss's orders. And at the end of the day, I mean, Gabriel is the one paying him. But you can tell that he never actually really wanted to do this. It is literally just that his job is at stake. And could you really blame the bodyguard? Could you? And listen, he did unbuckle Adrian's seatbelt earlier. And basically stopped the plane too. You could say that. I think that's a big enough gesture that he does still care about Adrian. But of course, I mean, this is his only job, and considering what we know about the bodyguard, like in the previous few episodes from the other seasons that he was mainly featured, we can tell that this is technically the only job that he has to afford, because he is technically mute. He can't really do all that much. He's just big and strong. Pretty sad, honestly. And damn, we have the teardrop on his hand, and he's holding Marinette's friendship bracelet. God, the plane flew away, and Marinette just standing here with her dress basically blowing in the breeze. And then we have the end title card. And here's the thing, throughout this whole time, when this title card's up here too, Marinette's dress is still flowing. It is very beautiful. This thing right here is just very beautiful on the message it has, honestly, and of course the spacing in between. It makes sense, although I don't know why Usagi is right here, but you know, it is what it is. I guess she is still part of this, so I guess it makes sense too. I really don't know. We still have a few things to talk about, so let's talk about the very end. Marinette basically gets off her bike, and later we see that her makeup is ruined. Apparently she had makeup. This is what she looks like. Yeah, she had mascara on. Don't know where, but yeah, she has that. She got a call. She got a call from Chloe. Yada yada yada. She tells basically the secret that she had and blah yada yada. But Marinette basically says, "You listen, I know this already because Adrian actually told me before you did. So like, first off, like, shut up and you suck. You are ridiculous. Don't ever talk to me again and that stuff, right?" And that. And I know what I said is technically like a very like not that enthusiastic, because to be honest, I mean, listen, the previous scene took out most of what I had. But yeah, after that, what Marinette said to Chloe, her basically final words to Chloe, broke her. She literally, with this, she used Chloe's words back at her. And this is technically at Chloe's lowest moment. So Marinette did finally break Chloe at this point. Chloe, knowing that she lost her name, she lost her honor, respect from her parents, she lost basically all her privileges, she lost basically everything. And of course, she lost the control over everybody, especially Marinette. And one other thing, she made the wrong choice. If she just talked to Sabrina, she could have felt better and maybe stayed as the same Chloe possibly, but maybe a bit more redeemable. But no, she chose the other path, basically continuing to bully the same girl that she has been bullying for 2 years, technically in this timeline, 2 years straight in the show's timeline. And Marinette broke her finally. Then Chloe begins to cry. Technically in the fetal position. Technically. But this is basically Chloe's lowest point in her life right now. And to be honest, I'm a bit sad for her. But she made all the wrong choices. She basically became a technical season 0. And she did this all to herself. I would say that she kind of got what's coming towards her. And to be honest, this kind of makes up for her sudden change of alliance and character from season 3. Because, listen, the more I think about it, and after this is who Chloe is. She literally only joined the heroes because it benefits her. Once somebody else gives her a better offer, she goes to that instead. She is a follower. Like Wormtail. I think Wormtail is his name. You know, that guy from Harry Potter, honestly. The guy who followed Voldemort. He who is not must be not named, or something like that. Kind of forgot how it says. But yeah, kind of like that. But she doesn't die because, you know, it's a kid show, technically speaking. But, I mean, they could, but, like, you know, she is a main character after all. And, of course, about this time, the movie just still here. So, like, if we know Chloe dies here, we know that sometime in the movie she will die too. So, like, you know, it is what it is. And I still think it's a pretty good way to end off Chloe's character arc. Oh, and we have, oh yeah, before I forget, we do have one more other ending scene. And it is Lila trying to open Gabriel's computer and starts tinkering and hacking into it. And that is where we end the episode. Oh boy, I talk so much, but that is because there's so much things to talk about in this episode. So yeah, first half, standard, right? Standard episode, harmless, pretty good, entertaining. The ending though, yes, we have like big shoo-ins that kind of just downgrade this episode. But the ending is just so good. We have the ending to Chloe's character arc. Technically speaking, we might have finally maybe a good redemption arc for her. We don't know. But she is broken at this point. We have Lila. Very good build-up and very good hints of her throughout this whole episode, honestly. Much better than her involvement in the past 2 episodes, honestly. Those are like very bad. Except the part 2, technically, where she got her comeuppance. That was pretty good. But like the previous episode was like, yeah, I don't know about that. But other than that, the love thing, finally, Marinette, Adrian finally kiss. The bodyguard, MVP of the episode as usual. And yeah, that's kind of about it. Overall, for me, I really do love this episode. If it was just me and my freaking bias, I would say this is a very good, solid 9 to 10 out of 10 episode. That ending literally sells me throughout the whole thing, and I'm very much invested into the finale. But if I'm gonna be completely honest, and in terms of what happened at that later half of the episode, I would say that this episode, even with a very good ending like that, it has an average score. Now, I'm not going to say that this episode is average. This is a very outstanding episode, even if the animation is not that good compared to the last 2 episodes. But it's a standard animation, that's good. The story writing for the ending is really, really good in terms of the emotional stuff with Adrian and Marinette specifically. The reason why I said I will have an average score, and that average score for me personally is either a 6 or a 7, is literally because of the biggest shoo-in this episode has to offer. And that is the point where Cat Noir and Ladybug can just cancel the detransformation with enough willpower, determination, and resolve. And with Cat Noir spamming Cataclysm without any consequences. Shouldn't that just be something for like the season finale? Shouldn't it be? Should it? Is it just me? I don't know. But I think that's like the biggest shoo-in that I think that I cannot really excuse that much. The only excuse that I can give is basically the narrative standpoint of these 2 characters. At this point in time, yes, they have the clearance to have this type of resolve power as a reward. It is just the complete wrong time. And we just got the revelation that with enough willpower and determination, they can slow down the detransformation. If they were able to cancel it outright, what was the point of showing that in the first place? Is it just for build-up? Good thing it's for build-up, but like, if it's just there, what's the point on maybe going through the rest of the series? And that would also, we have to have bigger stakes. We have to have bigger stakes coming out of the grill for more tension, more trouble, bigger consequences because since these characters can cancel their transformations at this point, because according to Nuru and Gabriel, they're grown up now, quote unquote. Yeah, for me, that thing kind of almost ruined the whole episode for me, because it also breaks the tension of what's going to be going on to the season finale. For my understanding, the finale is something that a lot of people are basically kind of, complaining about, mostly with the finale and Cat Noir as the biggest plot point. That where's Cat Noir? I have not seen the finale at this point yet, but I will say this. Unless Cat Noir, Adrian specifically, just came back just at the very end of the finale, I could see why. But if he does not, this episode already explains why he is not in the finale. So, either everybody is just very big Cat Noir fans, coming from a Cat Noir fan myself, that would sound pretty bad, honestly. But it would also technically mean that those people just really want some Cat Noir time, to have him share the spotlight with Ladybug, because these two are the two main characters. And while that is true, this episode already gives Adrian an excuse onto why he cannot come back. Now yes, he can come back, but in a story point narrative, we might have something back in the shadows, possibly. But hopefully I am wrong, and people are just overhyping or over complaining about this. Don't know if that's the right word. But I'm also hoping that I'm also wrong, that Cat Noir just appears at the very end of the episode when the whole thing is resolved. I'm hoping that's not the case, because if it does, then that's all justified on the hatred on that. But this episode already makes Cat Noir an excuse on why he doesn't appear in the season finale. Thanks YouTube for spoiling all of that, and thanks to every single reviewer that I've seen that's actually talking about that. But yeah, that's kind of about it. Overall, my honest opinion, without any bias, this episode is literally a 6 to 7, and to my greatest degree, I'll give this a 7 out of 10. Because I really love this episode's outstanding, and even though that they have gave up the biggest hiccup, the biggest misplay, the biggest plot device so early in this episode, I cannot forgive this episode on what it did, and basically kind of made both Ladybug and Cat Noir pretty much OP characters at this point. Unless this is forgotten in other episodes, which would really much downplay this episode, or they would be very smart and increase the stakes. This episode really did drop the ball on basically, giving the casual steps onto these characters finally growing up with their powers, because at this point they kind of grew up too early. If they just stayed with them being able to slow down the detransformation, that would have been good enough. And maybe with some time they can escape and then recharge. But no, they just, just do that. Now, in terms of the story, specifically in this episode, it makes sense. Otherwise, how else? But they could have waited for the other people to do that, escape when the shields are down, thanks to, we know that the teacher ripped up the sash and the powers disappeared, and so on and so forth. Recharge, come back, and, solve this problem, honestly. But, yeah, I guess it is what it is, and I guess technically for Lucky Charm it doesn't make sense that she has to. But they really did write themselves in the corner. But I do kind of wish that this was literally written, the power that they can just cancel detransformation was saved for the season finale. That's technically my biggest gripe. And that's not a nitpick, that is an actual gripe that I actually have with this episode. Now, you might vary in degree and would say that that doesn't matter to you. That's fine. But for me, it bothers me very much. But yeah, overall, that's basically it for the video. In my honest opinion, I would have given this a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, but it's a 6 to 7 out of 10 because of that one big ball drop that they did and did not save that for the season finale. Jesus Christ, we're almost there. Could you just like maybe save it for maybe another plotline or something? You could have done something, maybe like let them slow down to a point where the transformation stops because they were so focusing on it, and then just able to actually fight and resolve the problem while actually like at like the current point of the detransformation, and then just like detransform when the job was done, when they stop hiding, you know? Ooh, but that's just not me. I could, but I do think it could have been written better. That's like the only reason why. Overall, still pretty good episode, an outstanding episode to my bias, but yeah. Either way, my name's Paul. Been talking here too long, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Hopefully the next episode is not the season finale, or at least part 1 of it, but I heard that it is kind of good. Hopefully. So I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully I am wrong about the finale. See y'all then.